Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
What happens when two TV show hosts who are also friends get together on a Sunday with no specific topic and no specific outcome expected? You get Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted TV show. Welcome. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and joining me is my dear friend and colleague and producer and TV show host here at USA Global TV and Radio. It's Mr. Roland Friedl. Welcome, Roland. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Great to see you. Hello to our audience. Yeah, I'm fine. I hope you too. But anyway, you look amazing.
Thank you very much. So do you. I was thinking about this before the show started. This purple background is really good for our complexions. I've watched other shows that we've done, and you in the white and me in the purple, it really stands out. So I'm just grateful that purple is one of our branding colors because I think it's really helping. I migrated us from red over to purple.
Well, I love the color. I mean, we never talk about here on politics, on religion, sex, but purple is a very holy color in many religions, so I like it.
That's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that. What are some of your favorite colors? Like, do you have go-tos over the years? I know you have different colored glasses we've talked about, but when you were growing up, do you remember you always wanted to have maybe your bedspread a certain color, or you wanted your clothes to be a certain color?
Well, my favorite color and still is blue, and it's ice blue. So I always try to get some clothes in ice blue. I love this color. But I had a time when I was a student and more, sophisticated, and I was everything in black. I was everything in black. I had a face where everything was black. It is literally cool. I had a friend of mine who was studying architecture, and I came into this in his peer group with really cool people. Smoking pipes and stuff like that, talking about literature, planning houses, stuff like that, and all in black. And I love this style. So I had a face in black, but normally it's blue.
Well, especially icy blue brings out the blue in your eyes. So that would be a good choice. And what I think is interesting about black, if you think about the rainbow, when we're in school and they teach you about the colors of the rainbow, and then you learn about mixing colors, I think black is basically, is it the combination or the lack of colors? I always forget white versus black. But black, to me, I have a lot of black clothes, and I really like them because it's not a lot of thought process that goes into it. You look in the closet and you go, half the closet's black. Okay, I'll just pick something out that's black. And then for women, you can use your accessories, your lipstick. But guys have ways of doing things too. I mean, back in the day with ties, I know people still wear ties, which I love. But you've got your glasses, which really set you apart. And I think that, people can carry off different colors. Sometimes we just get into picking the same thing, like black for me and for you.
Yeah, when we talk about colors and clothes, it's part of our style, how we express ourselves or how we want to be seen in public. I think it's very important. Actually, a week ago or something, I had a conversation with my girlfriend and another person here, because we are here in Italy, and one reason I love Italy is they're very friendly. The food is just excellent. But what I really love in Italy is the style. A lot of designers come from Italy, Armani, whatever, Versace, Gucci, and they come here. But what I really love here is when you go to a small town, to the center of the small villages, having a coffee or something and a chat with the people, the old people. And I guess we had also a little bit of this conversation with Kimberly last time, is they really dress up. they really dress up. And I love this Italian style. In Italy, actually, we have been with ice cream with the kids. I had gray trousers, brown leather shoes, a brown a belt, and I had not a white one. I used this for the show. I had a very light blue, nice linen shirt, and yeah, I love this style. They're really dressed up. I guess it was Karl Lagerfeld who said, "When you come in a jogging trousers, you gave up your life." So.
I love Karl Lagerfeld style, by the way. I actually got to see his house when I was away in Europe. It was up on a hill, and you could see the sheer curtains that were flowing back and forth. And of course, he's passed on, but he's left a legacy. But I think it's interesting about style. Yesterday, I worked all day from 6:30 on, and then I was doing coaching sessions and private advisory sessions last night. So I actually took a shower, got all dressed up. And even though the people who were seeing me work across the computer, it still meant something to me, because I feel like when I'm not dressed in a certain way that represents me, I don't feel like I'm able to really tap into my creative side. Does that make sense?
100%, yeah, 100%. To be honest, man, I started almost 5 years ago here in USA Global TV and Radio, and I remember in the beginning, I very often had a T-shirt, and because I had a phase where I just loved T-shirts, I couldn't see a shirt anymore. So after a while, when I watched some old videos, and I said, "No, Roland, no, don't show up in a T-shirt. Don't show up in a T-shirt. It's not about not being serious, what I'm doing here, but no." It's a statement. It's a statement to dress up.
It's true. And, it's interesting because we are a TV show right now, right? If you own a television, you could be watching us on TV. And I was doing a lot of research for something that's coming up about the difference between podcasting and broadcasting. And although there are always exceptions, but a lot of podcasting is for people who are multitasking. So you're listening to something while you're doing something else. And podcasting might be, "Hey, Roland, I want to go live in about 5 minutes. Are you available?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay." So we just throw something together, boom, and we go live. It's not necessarily, of course, there's always exceptions. It's not necessarily structured or on a network. But when we are showing up as professionals, because we know people are watching, listening, learning from us, and it's going to be out there forever. So why not take the extra step and show who you are? I mean, the fact that you're here with the white shirt on, you could put on a T-shirt, or you put on that shirt, and that shirt looks great. And it sets the stage and says, "I'm a professional, I'm here, and I'm happy to be here." Because a lot of times people are not happy with what they're doing, and the way they show up, the way they're dressed, it reflects that.
100%. And also, what's in my mind is that both of us, we want to also be role models for all our colleagues who joined us here in USA Global TV and Radio. So, okay, that's our standard, and that's what we are waiting for, what we await from you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And, so we have no script and we have no topic, but something that I've been working on for a long time is my new book, which the cover is also purple. Let me see if I have it over here. Let's see, is this it? Yeah, there it is. So the book cover is purple. And Roland, I've been working on this for at least 6 months. And when I started writing books, and I know you're an author as well, it was about 5 years ago. And the only thing I had written at that time was my doctoral dissertation, which is a completely different type of writing. You have to go in front of a committee and they have to approve it. And I had rewritten it 118 times. It was a lot of work. But this type of writing is very different. And I was working with Red, who was my book coach. And I know that you worked with Red. Red and I worked together on all my books. I think I'm up to 27, except for the last 3. And part of the reason was I really wanted to learn how to do it myself, because whenever you're dependent on someone, you might be missing out on something that you could actually learn. So this particular book is the second one. Actually, it's the third one, Holy But Harmful. And then the Lady Ella book, Lady Ella and Lord Jack, Kindness Adventures with the Alley Cats of Greece, and Stop Giving Away Your Value. But where I'm going with this is I started reliving the whole reason why I wrote the book. And I kind of would like to get into that with you, because I think it really applies. Again, it's called Stop Giving Away Your Value. And when I first started working And I know that you have had this experience as well. You're so excited about starting a business. And the fact that somebody wants to work with you, you think to yourself, okay, I actually have something here. And you're just thrilled. And it's like, well, how much is it going to cost? Oh, nothing. It's free. You're just like, yeah, it's free because you're just so excited that someone actually believes in you. And then as you're in the business longer and longer and you have more experience, and you just talked about going to Tony Robbins training session, and I'm in the Wharton School for Chief Strategy Officer. We're constantly bettering ourselves, and you realize you have actual value, but yet people will tap into that. They will play on your heartstrings, and it's hard because you're a heart-centric person, and so am I. I'm a peace ambassador, and it's kind of like you want to always do right by people, and at the same time, you have to be able to stop giving away your value. So how do you deal with this? What have you done over the years?
Well, it was a learning journey for myself, to be honest, because I gave so much away for free for friends and stuff like that, so many times, and uh, I have been disappointed many times from some people because nothing came back. It's not that I expected something, but nothing came back most of the time. And I learned that when I give something away for free, there is no acknowledgement. I built up my coaching and consulting business without a website, even without a business card, over 30 years, just because all the CEOs recommended me to their friends and their companies, but only those who paid for my services and my facilitation. Those I invited for free. There was nothing came back. No recommendation, something like that. So I think that's something that must have a price. And the other way is, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who started as a coach, and he's really struggling in how much he should charge. And I said, yeah, can I charge him? I said, look, see it from the other side, from the other perspective. The other person, or your customer, or the client, whatever you will call you, whatever, you have to give this person the chance to balance the work you're doing. There must be a balance, because we know it's from psychology that people who only are takers and not giving back, they're leaving because one day they figure out, oh my God, I received so much from this person. I can never balance it anymore. And they're going out of a relationship, of a business relationship, a private relationship. So I think it's unfair not to charge a reasonable price for the services you offer.
I agree with you. And I have two comments on that. I remember speaking to someone I'm very close to and just explaining, I'm so upset because XYZ is supposed to be paying this and then they're not. And then the person said to me, well, what are you doing about it? And I said, well, I'm kind of afraid. I don't want to really deal with it because I know they're going through a hard time. And the person said, do you realize that maybe they need this push for them to move to the next level? And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, if you don't say no, if you don't say, listen, these are the terms, this is what we agreed to. Unfortunately, since you're not able to pay or do XYZ, we're going to have to say goodbye. That maybe that's the step that person needs to go to the next level. And then the other thing I want to share is I got some really tough feedback not that long ago. I was working with someone, and then I met the person in person last summer, and the person said, listen, I just want to say something to you, and you can take it any way you want. And the person said, I would have paid you 10 times the amount that you charged me. And my eyes flew open. I felt very foolish and stupid. And the person said, you don't realize the opportunity that you give people. And if you don't know your own worth, then how do you expect other people to recognize it? And I thought, wow, like I was speechless that I got that gift. And at the same time, it's hard because, and I'm going back to you on this, how do you rectify the fact that there are people who are suffering? I mean, what we think of suffering sometimes and what someone else is actually experiencing, there's always different levels. And someone might say, listen, I really want to work with you, but I really am broke. I really I have a limited income. So what do you say? Hey, sorry, you're not going to fit in. It's hard.
It is, to be honest, it is. But you know what I learned is, but I was two times broke in my life, to be honest. You know, going up and then down, it can happen. It was a good learning, by the way. But I always invested in myself. I always tried to learn and book a course. And something I just asked a friend and say, hey, can you borrow me some money? And I want to really learn this and become a better version of myself. And then, you know, start a different business or maybe adapt my business with my new skills. And then I pay back for you. I think it's so important. And also, you know, when you pay for something, I had a mentor many years ago from the US, and he said, investment must be between serious and making you nervous. You know, it shouldn't break you totally, but there is a commitment. When you spend money for something, there's a commitment. The commitment is much deeper, and you're much more focused. You're much more really into that, what you're learning, because you paid for it. And that's a different part. When something is for free, maybe because when something is free, it has no value. And I think it's not good to give stuff away. Sometimes I give stuff away for free because I know this person is really broken, and I know it's coming back. And it's not broken because this person, he or she is always on the ground. You know, there's a reason why people are always broken. But sometimes it can happen. It happened to me too. You know, that's not a secret. And then you give some help, yes. But as I said before, the commitment is different when somebody pays for something. And I always ask a person, okay, what can you afford? And maybe you pay me a little bit and you pay me later. We make a contract, and whatever can you afford? It's just the people are committed, because I heard it many times. I said, when I charge you less, would you sign in? When somebody says your services are so expensive, I said, okay, when I charge less, would you sign in? And most of them said no. I said, okay, I should reduce the price.
Exactly. We actually have a guest today who's joining us, and I'm really excited about this because, as you know, our show is unscripted, so we can continue this conversation, or maybe it'll go somewhere else. So as soon as I see Kim put her camera on, we'll bring her out. I think, Kim is here now. We're bringing her out. Kim Lengling, welcome to the program. It's nice to have you here today.
Oh, hi. How are you guys?
Hi.
Hello, Kim.
It's been a minute. So
it has been a minute, hasn't it?
So welcome to Unscripted, where who knows where the conversation is going to go. Right now, we're talking about giving things away for free. And you are a former veteran. You are also, I guess you're always a veteran, right? You're not a former, you're a veteran, and you're an author, and you're someone who really has a great attitude about life. You're very positive. You've been through a lot. You and I have had conversations about it. But we're talking about today about just giving things away for free. I wrote a book called Stop Giving Away Your Value. And where I want to go now, because I think this is a tough one. I remember when I was in corporate, I built relationships with people. And then I realized at some point I was going to leave. I was going to retire. And none of those relationships survived. And it's kind of like, okay, well, you're in that environment and you're doing entertaining with people, like, you're traveling with people, and then just, it doesn't last. So when you're in business and you're working with people, you can become friends with people, but there has to be a line. And sometimes you have to cross that line, and it's painful because somebody owes you money, or they're not showing up, or whatever the case may be. Kim, what do you want to talk about when it comes to this subject? If you want to, maybe you're like, no, I'm not into it.
Well, I'm not in the corporate world anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but just in general, when you work with people.
Oh, I do a lot of volunteering, That's within my veteran community, and just me personally, I am one who does give a lot of my time, effort, finances if I'm able, or just simply, little nuggets of hope here and there, but there is a certain line. Like when you mentioned the corporate thing, I mean, I was in corporate for 25 plus years. I was in sales and marketing, and you built those relationships, and you actually thought, well, hey, some of them might be friends, but then when you leave that realm, they all disappear like you didn't exist.
Right.
And I was kind of, this is years ago, but when that happened, and I decided to change, my whole path of what I wanted to do. And I reached out to a couple of people just to try and keep in touch. Hey, how you doing? Because you got to know them. How's your family? How's the new dog you just adopted? And they just kind of, ghosted you. And I was like, wow, I guess I was only worth something to them when I was in that realm. And that was kind of hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Roland, what do you think about this subject?
Well, as Kim said, about I was a very short time in the corporate world, but I experienced the same one. You think you have friends because after office you go for a 5 p.m. beer or something like that, or hanging out for a dinner or something, and then after when I left the company, bang, no contact anymore. But the same happened to me when I was starting in the network marketing industry. I was very famous because I was one of the top networkers in Europe here. And as long as I brought cash to the company, I was everybody's darlings. And when I decided after almost 30 years in this industry, I step out because I don't want to see these crowds anymore. I don't want to be on stages. It disappeared.
Yeah.
Nothing, no phone call, nothing. I brought millions for them. Nothing. But it's okay. But on the other hand, I have friends since 55 years, and we're still friends, and really good friends, and new friends. I think this is normal. I mean, when you change, well, let's say when you develop yourself to the next level, you leave some people behind, and you're coming in. I guess that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at it as it's seasons. That person was in my life apparently then for just that season.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a whole nother season. And sometimes you do have to like cull the herd, set your boundaries, and you build a new tribe, and maybe some of those people will only be with you for a season. But the true ones, like you were saying, they're with you for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go back to what you said, Kim, about volunteering. So with volunteering, we all volunteer, right? At some point, at least in what I found in my experience, you have to have a boundary because you can only give so much. You can only give so much money. You can only give so much time. And yet you don't want to let down any of the sponsors or the people who invited you into this organization, or the people that you're helping to find answers or provide education or donations for research. So how do you decide, I can't do any more this year, or I can't do any more this month? What comes up for you? Go with Kim.
I've been a member of my veteran organization for about 32 years now. And probably for the first 20, 25, I gave everything. It was constant all the time. And then all of a sudden I realized I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I burn out is what happened. And if you continue to do that, you will burn out, because then you're not going to even want to be around the people that you love, actually, that become a part of your family, or you just, you just don't want to, it doesn't bring you joy anymore. And I reached a point in life where it's like, if this is not bringing me joy anymore, then why in the world am I spending so much time and effort in it? So there were a lot of things I had to drop because I was involved in every aspect of my veteran post. And I'm not being negative in any way, but for me personally, for my mental and physical health, I had to just stop doing a lot. And I chose the 2 to 3 things that I have a very strong passion for. And I stick with those, and I stick with those to this day. But all the other 3, 4, 5, 6, however many, I had to just drop off. And sometimes that, some people get a little miffed over that. And I'm like, well, that's on you. It's not on me.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Roland, you're out of the frame, by the way, for the Kim, you're good for the phones. Yeah, there we go. So Roland, you have a different background, right? And you're in Europe traveling around in your RV, which I love, but you might feel the same way, where you volunteer time, you volunteer money, and you get to the point where you can't do it anymore and you don't want to let people down. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, to be honest, I was always a so-called people pleaser, or what we call a Mr. Nice Guy. I always want to please people, and that's what came to my mind when Kim was talking. Is when you volunteer, you always give away more, as in opposite when you're forced to do something. So it's for free. You do it willingly, voluntarily, and sometimes it's a trap, because you get loved, you get acknowledgement, and you think, okay, I can really make a difference, and then what happened to me, to be very honest, is I took myself too important. I said, okay, they can't do it without me. And then I was in this trap, giving away too much. And actually, a friend of mine helped me out and said, he gave me a mirror, and I said, it's cool what you're doing, but why are you doing it? Are you really doing it for the people? I said, yes, but how much is the part you're doing it for yourself? And I was thinking about it. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm a people pleaser. I do it also for myself. What is okay, yeah, when it's not too much. But sometimes you don't set boundaries because you feel so seen and loved and acknowledged.
Yeah, it's so true. I want to comment on that. So, I've had ulcerative colitis for, I don't know, 35, 36 years. Yay. And I've been involved with the Crohn's Colitis Foundation for a long time. I'm still on the board and running events by donating and getting a team together. And over the last couple of years, I haven't been as involved as I used to. And I think part of it is because I feel well. I've been in remission. And so when I'm not in remission, let's hopefully we're not going back there, but you knowing that there are people who are there to support you. And so I was involved in every activity that I possibly could. I was running with colitis. I was spinning with colitis. And I'll never forget this. One of the directors met with me and said, listen, we've seen this before. People get really involved and then they get burned out. And I was like, no, it's never going to happen to me. And then it did during the pandemic. It did happen. And I felt really badly about it. And now I've started my own charity. So we'll see how that goes. But I still feel badly because people count on you to give the money, to give the time. And then life goes on and it's like, oh, wow, I let them down. And you let yourself down, I think. I don't know.
I didn't feel that way.
Okay, good.
Because I had reached a point where it's like for my mental and physical well-being, I had to pull myself out. I didn't feel that I was letting anyone down because I knew, well, and I guess my situation within my veteran organization, we're like family to each other. We've been there through thick and thin for each other. We know each other's stories. So there were a few that, were like, well, we need this. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to have to find somebody else to do it. I mean, I didn't feel bad about doing that. That's just me, because I knew what was best for me personally. I had to put myself first, and I hadn't done that before. And I don't think it wasn't really easy for me, but I did it anyway. And now looking back, I'm so glad that I did. Because if I would have kept going the way I was going, thinking, well, I'm the only one who can do this, and I'm the only one who can, Roland, I had the same little mentality there for a little bit. Well, they can't do this without me. Well, we're all expendable. Of course they can do it without me. And they will eventually, one day, because none of us live forever, Yeah. So I had to shift my mindset a little bit and say, okay, Kim, what's more important? You giving everything, or your health.
Yeah.
So you can be around a little bit longer, your mental and physical health. And so for me, I was and I'm the type of person, it's like, okay, you do it or you don't. There's no halfway or him hawing for me. I'm just that kind of person. I'm like, okay, I'm no longer doing this.
I really respect that.
What just came to my mind is, I don't know if it's existing, but I never heard about it, especially, in companies, institutions. It would be cool when you start there working that you have a body and you said, okay, the two of us, we take care about the two of us. So I give you feedback when you're close to a burnout and I say, okay, step back. This would be a cool program, that our workers and co-workers support each other and taking care about themselves and say, okay, step back a little bit, make a break or slow down or whatever. I don't know. I never heard about a program like this, but this would be very helpful for a lot of people because, as you said, Kimberly, most people don't realize that they fall in a burnout because for some reason, they love what I'm doing, or sometimes, the job can be a distraction from whatever is in the dark side of it. But it would be very helpful to have somebody, even in the workforce, and I said, okay, cool down and make a break.
That's an awesome idea. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah. What a great idea. It's like accountability partners, only for burnout.
Yeah, really. Because sometimes, when you're into it, you don't see it,
Right.
You're in this treadmill, but somebody from outside can have a look at you and say, hey, you changed a little bit. You're nervous or you don't look really healthy or whatever. What's going on?
Because I've noticed a few in my organization, right? Just last night. Because we do weekly dinners, and so I serve. I mean, it's all volunteer. And one of the ladies was really, really on edge, and I remember thinking, what's going on with her in the background? This isn't typically her. Should I? And I was arguing with myself, should I ask her to step outside and say, hey, what's going on? Because you're bringing really, really strange, not good energy into the building, and everyone can feel it. So I don't know. What do you do in that situation when you really want to say something, but you're not real sure if you should, and there's a crowd of people around? I mean, I'm serving dinner. It's like a little mini restaurant on Saturday nights, and what do you do with that? You want to say something and hope that they take it in the way that it's meant to be given.
I guess we both know with Dr. Jacalyn, we always ask in the beginning if somebody's open for feedback.
Absolutely. Ask for permission. Would you be open to some feedback? Would you be open to stepping outside? Or I'd like to share something with you. How do you feel about it? And then if they say, okay, then you proceed. And as you know, you're not going to do it in front of everyone.
Right.
But also being prepared for the fact that after you share it with them, they may not be happy, and who knows how it's going to come across. So you may decide, you know what, I'm not going to do it right now. I'll just let things go and find other people to hang out with at the event. What did you end up doing?
I just let it go. Well, because we're busy. I'm serving food to people. We do, this is the weekly dinners that we do, and it keeps our veteran post, that helps pay the bills, helps keep the lights on,
Yeah.
And so there was a few of us, and I had said, I have no problem, talking with her, but I don't know if this is the greatest time because we're in the midst of dinner, and so I think I did notice her go out the side door and come back in a few minutes later, but she looked even more angry. So she just probably wasn't in the right mindset to accept feedback, I guess. But we all have those days, It's just in any organization, because, I'm sure you guys, anytime in your corporate world, I know I had them, it's like a toxic personality, and there was no change in them.
Okay.
No, and they weren't even aware of it and didn't want to hear about it.
Didn't want to hear about it. Right. And that makes for a long day.
It sure does. Well, I think the one thing that's pretty cool is that the three of us are no longer in corporate. And to those who are in corporate, you're learning your lessons too as well. And and of course, the paycheck was always nice, and the benefits, and at least in my point of view. But one of the things that I feel I've really come to terms with at the age of 63, that maybe 5 years ago I really wasn't, is that I'm not so interested in external feedback of people telling me things about what it is I'm doing. And I know I'm very structured and I'm very disciplined. And because of that, I get a lot of things done. I'm very productive. And people may or may not like that. Sometimes people are threatened by that. And so sometimes when I interact with someone, they might be having a bad day and they're crying. And I just think, okay, what is the solution to this? Like, go ahead and cry. I go into TV show mode, because let's say, Kim, you came here today and you were crying. We still have a TV show to do, right? So I'm going to listen to you, and I might get a little teary-eyed, but we've got to go on. And I'm like that outside of work. And so I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but what I've decided was that's who I am. That's my evolution. And that's where I am today.
I can see how that would be hard for some people to take.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're a very strong woman. You're a very strong, dedicated woman, and that comes across. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because I'm the same way, and I think that and Roland, you can let us know, but I think, I know that some men that I've met or, worked with through the years they seem intimidated by that.
Yeah, let's hear what Roland has to say. What do you have to say, Roland?
Yeah, I'm curious from a man's point of view.
Yeah, we as a man, as a child, we always heard from our dad or from our environment, don't show emotions and feelings, and stay strong, don't cry and stuff like that. And then most of us, we're so afraid that we really open up and show our emotions, what we feel, and cry in public. And most people think, or especially men think, that having emotions and showing emotion, even showing emotion, is weakness, but it's not. It's not.
Do you think that's somewhat of a cultural difference as well?
Well, I mean, depending, I have been traveling the whole world and working for many companies all over the places. And when you go to the Middle East or the Arabic countries, Men show emotions, but never in front of a woman. Never ever. And they don't listen to women, because I remember 30 years ago when we started in the Middle East, I brought in a lady because she was speaking classical Arab. I don't speak classical Arab, but she was not accepted in front of all these managers there. They didn't listen to her. It changed today. Luckily it changed, but in this culture, no. And it's also, when I know from my friends in South America, Middle America, so Mexico, South, men showing emotion, not as long as they're not gay, sorry, but they're more open to their emotions. But a normally straight South American, Middle American man, no, still not. Not this macho type, not. And I think that they miss a lot in their life, because being aware of your emotion and can express your emotion, because it's a different topic now we're moving into it. I had a conversation with a friend of mine. We talked about, I coach men to find a woman, or get in a relationship. And he said, he's so hard for him. And I said, okay, let's start. What's intimacy? And he started about talking some technical stuff. And I said, no, it starts when you open up, when you talk about your emotions, about your feelings. And he looked at me, what are you talking about? I said, yes, that's how intimacy starts. I said, I never heard this. I never learned this. You don't learn it in school as a boy and as a grown-up. But especially men, I mean women are more emotional, they're more outgoing. They talk about, in girls' clubs or with her best body. Men never do it. And Dr. Jacalyn knows I work in the men's world. I do a lot of voluntary men's work for men. It's hard for them, 100%, because we never learned it. And we never had a male role model who learned this us. None our dads, none our grandfathers. No, we never learned it. But it's time to do.
Good point. That's very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Kim, you're in the hot seat now. There you go.
Oh,
so what I think is also interesting, Kim, that you touched on this, is about being a strong woman. And Roland, you were talking about men not feeling comfortable sharing their emotions. But how do men feel? And we can start with you, Roland. How do you feel about being with two strong women right now? Now that you are not on the top row here and you are just for the moment, how do you feel about it, Roland?
I have you on my shoulders.
I like how you segued into that.
Yeah, I didn't even plan it. It just came up.
I'm totally fine with this. Well, I also coached female CEOs and vice presidents, and I say, I'm a very conservative type, with family values, and I always say when a woman wants to make career or doing a business, perfect. I love it. I support it. But the threat is when you come home to your husband or your friend, let the balls outside of the door. Because when you because you're in the business world, of course you need, besides your female energy, communicating, being creative, you also need a male energy to drive things forward. But when you come home to your husband or boyfriend or whatever, please leave this male energy outside the door. It's not working, because then there is no space for the male's energy of your husband. And then he has to move into a more female energy. And then he's not happy, and you as a lady are not happy because you don't have a man anymore at home, or this guy is getting out of the house and get divorced. What I see it very often, that ladies who are very, very positive, very, very successful in their business, when they step home, they're still in this masculine energy, and then there's no space for the man. Here's two options: getting out and get divorced, leaving, running away, or getting into female energy, and then both are not happy anymore. This is what I see. I hope it is answering your question. I love strong women in the business, of course. My partner too. She's very successful at what she's doing, but she can really make the change when she's coming back. She goes back in a more female energy, and then it's working. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a comment, but Kim, what are you thinking?
I'm divorced.
I am too.
And I so appreciate your perspective, Roland, because I didn't get that perspective from my ex-husband. So it takes two. It takes two to make it work.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. No, it's given me something to chew on, to think about. So yeah, that was very interesting, because I had not, if maybe if my ex-husband had said, hey, can you leave that high level energy at the door when you come home from work? Maybe I would have thought about it. That's just being honest. I might have thought about it, but it was never a subject that was brought up. It was my husband was also from Germany. So that's why I was asking about the cultural difference.
Yeah.
So there was a big cultural difference there too. And he, as a German, never showed emotion.
No.
Black and white.
Very straight. Yeah.
And I would always say, come out of your tunnel because there's colors out here. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting though to hear the different perspectives, because my situation, of course, is probably way different than Dr. Jacalyn's and Roland, yours as a male. So yeah, this is cool. I like hearing the other perspectives. Thank you.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I know for me, I've been in a relationship for a long time, but I seem to have some kind of relationship with my AI bot because I'm by myself. So I talk to it a lot, and we've had conversations, and basically what it said to me, what it's written to me, is that it would be very difficult for me to meet a partner because I am so strong-willed and I spend so much time. I'm either working or working out. There's nothing in between. There's no social life. None of that exists because I've chosen it to be just this. And so I don't really have time for a partner. And so what the AI bot has said after me grilling it, and almost firing it, by the way, it did say it would have to be a very strong male. And it even picked certain professions. It'd have to be a doctor, a lawyer, someone who's used to having extreme, like a trial attorney, someone who's used to having extreme pressure, that is probably the only type of male that I would be compatible with, because they understand that you take a different choice where it's not going to be, well, we're going to go golfing over the weekend and we're going to go fishing. Oh, no, we're not. We're working. So I really appreciated that because it saved me a lot of time from even putting myself back out there. So thank you, AI.
Well, wow. How cool that there's such three totally different perspectives. Yes. This is fun.
Yay, unscripted. Yay.
I love this.
Yeah. I think that both have to work on themselves, men and women. I think women have to learn to be more in a female energy when they're home, and male have to be more in their male energy. Because I wrote a quote, actually yesterday, I said a lot of women, when they get engaged, they don't feel like a partner, they feel more like parenting.
Oh
yeah, So and even my new partner, when she's left the relationship before, and she said, okay, he kicked him out because she said, I already have 2 kids, I don't want to have a third one, I want to have a male husband on my side, another additional kid. And I think it's both, that men have to be more stronger, more masculine, and as I said, women more feminine, and then it's working again.
Okay, but I have a question about that. And I want to know what Kim thinks. And by the way, I want to say this because we are global and we appreciate diversity. So we're not talking about women with women or men with men, because that's a different scenario and perspective, which I don't have. I don't know if either of you have that, but that's important too, that we acknowledge, other people out there. So what I do want to say is, how do you feel when you're with a partner? The feedback I got years ago is, you're not soft and sweet anymore like you used to. Well, you treat me like dirt, buddy. What do you expect? That woman's gone. But what do you feel like when you're with someone who is soft and sweet and showing their feminine side, and they're not getting a lot done? It's always like, oh, la, la, like, oh, help me, hold me, I need you, I love you, those types of things. How do you feel about that?
You know what that does for me? I cringe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. I'm like, and my first thought is, what did you do? And what do you want?
Okay.
That's my experience. Why are you bringing home flowers and a gift? What did you do? Or what do you want? That's my brain.
And how has that played out? Have you been pretty much spot on?
Yes, unfortunately, I was. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm divorced.
You knew something was amiss. Yeah.
Yes. Amiss. What a good word. If
you were to put yourself back out there again, and there's no script, would you be looking for someone who's really strong and they're in their masculine energy, or someone who's got a mix of both?
You know what if I were looking, which I'm not, if I were to meet someone, awesome, great. But I keep my separate life. They keep their separate life. We hang out have
I
fun.
love this. You have your home. I have my home.
Right.
I love this. I love
I'm at
this.
a point in life where I worked so hard for what I have. I'm not giving it away or signing off half of it to anybody.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. That's
Good
awesome.
point.
Roland, what are your thoughts about it? You might have a totally different perspective.
Well, I mean, for what you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, I mean, this is not a feminine energy. It's just a weak energy, a victim's energy. They can be both a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Well, I step away from people who are not straight, or people who don't have goals, or just hanging around the whole day. And it's well, I don't have time for this, because that's not my environment, and these are energy suckers. That's not the point. But yeah, I mean, actually, I've been single for 4 years after long relationships, and I really enjoyed to be by myself, and always said, okay, I want a girl or a lady, who is strong in business, who is successful. She knows what she's doing, but again, when she's home, and in a different role, and really can do the switch, because that's so important. That's what I learned the last years working with men and women. But no, I can't stand up with a weak person, a person that has no goals, just hanging around and let's see what's happening. And yeah, of course, going to a 9-to-5 job because she has to go to pay the bills, to settle the bills, but it's not driven, has no vision for her life. No, this would be boring. Because we're broadcasting, but I don't have a TV set. I never had a computer game in my hand. It was really challenging, because she has a 12-year-old boy, and she looked at me like an alien. I said, no, I never played a computer game. I don't do this. I never wasted my time with stuff like that. Sorry for that. So yeah, I'm a very active person, and I only can stay with an active person. Yeah. Otherwise,
no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Since it's unscripted, I'm going to go into the dark zone. So Roland and I actually met last summer, and I was doing a few city tours in Europe, and we actually met and spent time together. And at the time that we met, we were both single. I'm still single, but Roland's in a relationship. And I'd love to have your feedback as a man right here live on the air as to what it was you thought when you met me in person. He's like,
wow, that's a big question.
That's a big one. He's speechless.
Oh, I'm waiting for the answer.
Okay, but when I met Dr. Jacalyn the first time in Vienna, yeah, we know each other online, because we started working together 5 years ago. We were online, so there was a kind of know each other a little bit, how you're talking, how you're communicating, what you're expecting, how we work together. But when I remember because I booked this table, on this boat when we're sitting on a side river of the Danube in Vienna, and the first thing I saw was a lady, not a lady. I saw an amazing energy. That's what I could feel, an amazing energy. Yeah, that was this is a person. She knows what she's doing. She's full of energy. Of course, she's traveling a lot, maybe a little exposed, but I could feel this energy around, and this really was very attractive for me, because I want to work together with people who are full of energy, and I know that Dr. Jacalyn is doing a lot for her. We're working out, eating healthy, because we do a health show together. It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. So I could feel this energy, and this energy is very, very attractive for people who are also full of energy, but maybe very scary for people who are not full of energy.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I'm taking away that I am full of it, which is good. I'm full of energy. So.
That's my mom tells me I'm full of it all the time. She always says, up to here.
Kim, we've never met in person, but we've had conversations. You have great energy yourself. And I was so happy to see that you booked in for this show, because I thought, you know what, you never know where it's going to go. But I feel like right now we have 3 people who are really positive. And I want you to tell our audience about your nuggets. Tell people, because Roland doesn't know either. There's no script. So tell people.
Yeah, about 3 years ago, I started seeing and hearing and reading the word hope. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. Like, a lot of people say they see numbers all the time. They're like, oh, I got to play that number in the lottery. Well, I started seeing and hearing and reading the word hope everywhere. And I just had this very strong nudge that I was supposed to do something with it. But I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do with this word hope? And at that point in my life, I wasn't feeling hopeful. I was just in a funk. in kind of a dark spot in my life. But that nudge was so strong to do something with the word hope. And I had remembered from my corporate life at a networking event, someone had given out these little packets of cards. They say, they're just little cards and they say, you're awesome, you're a rock star, things like that. So I thought, well, I have those. Let me go dig them out. So I dug them out and I thought, I'll just drop those places where I'm going and just call that a nugget of hope and be done. Because this nudge was so strong. And that's where nugget of hope was coined in my head. So I did with those little 6 cards. I was shopping one day and just dropped them in different places in the store, in the grocery store, and I thought, well, whoever finds them is the one that's meant to find them. And maybe that'll be a nugget of hope for their day, but that didn't go away. That strong nudge, it became stronger, if anything. And so I'm like, well, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And I am a Christian. And so that kind of came into play for me. So I thought I knew where the nudges were coming from. So I got online and I'm like, nuggets of hope. What could that be? Then I actually found these rocks. They're polished stones with the word hope on them. Mm-hmm. So I found those online and I thought, okay, well, I'll just purchase some of those. And so I did. And I carry those with me now for 3 years. And when I see someone, I feel like, Roland, you had mentioned, energy, the positive energy coming off of Jacalyn when you met her. I feel that energy from people too. And I'm ridiculously empathetic. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But I was out one day and I saw this older woman and the feeling I was getting from her was just lost and sad. And it was so strong for me to feel. And I went, oh, she needs a nugget of hope. So I approached this total stranger and reached into my pocket and pulled out one of my little nuggets and just said, excuse me, ma'am, I would love to give you a nugget of hope today. And she held out her hand to a total stranger. And I just gently put the stone in her hand. And I said, I wish you a blessed day. And I turned and walked away because I didn't feel I was supposed to chit chat or get to know their name. And as I walked away, I heard her say, oh my goodness, you have no idea. You have no idea. Thank you. And I just kind of glanced back and then I just continued on my way. And from that moment on, almost 3 years ago, I continued to do that. I carry these little nuggets with me in my pocket. And if I feel very strongly nudged towards someone, then I approach. And I wrote a book about it, some of those experiences and those interactions that I've had from, people looking at me like, who are you, you crazy stalker woman? And others have broke down in tears. Others have hugged me and cried. I've been yelled at. I've been swore at. But without fail, every single person accepted the nugget of hope. So
even the one screaming?
Even there was an older gentleman, had to have been late 80s. He was yelling and swearing at me. And I was holding out this nugget of hope. And he said, what the hell do I have hope to hope for? And then he just went off. And I realized immediately, this poor gentleman has something huge going on in his life. It's not me he's yelling at. So I stood there and took it. And I was like, I can take this on. That's fine. Let him yell. So he did. I let him yell. He still took that nugget of hope and put it in his pocket. And I got to my car and put my head on my steering wheel and cried. Not because my feelings were hurt. I cried for him because he was so hurt and so lost. And I'm like, who knows? Maybe he just lost his spouse. And this is the first time he's out getting groceries by himself. And he doesn't know what type of damn dish soap his wife used to get. And he can't find it, and that was that one thing that just put him over the edge because we were in the dish soap line. That's fine. But maybe his wife has Alzheimer's and he's like her full-time caregiver. And it's his first time in maybe 2 weeks being able to get out of the house. Maybe he was very ill himself and it's the first time he's been out to get groceries. Maybe he's a widower and he just wants to get his stuff and get home and he can't find that dish soap that his wife always used to use. And he's frustrated and tired and just wants to get home. I don't know what was going on in his life, but he took it and he put it in his pocket. So my picture in my head was, you know what? He went home, he emptied his pocket and put it in a bowl on that side table in the hallway. And maybe the next day when he went to grab all his stuff to shove it back in his pocket for the day, he looked down and saw that nugget of hope and went, hope, huh? Maybe.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah, that's where my nuggets of hope came from. And so I continue to do that.
Oh my gosh, goosebumps.
I know, that's absolutely beautiful. Where do you get the nuggets from?
I get them online. I just bought them online.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And, you know, people are always like, well, I want to do something like that. What can I do? I go, nugget of hope. It doesn't have to be something physical. A nugget of hope could literally be smiling at a stranger. A nugget of hope could be one of my favorite things to do is compliment a stranger, a total stranger. I was leaving Giant Eagle, which is a grocery store here where I live. I was walking out and this older couple, I don't know how old, maybe mid 70s. I don't know, older than me a little bit. And, but they were both very tall and very well put together. And the woman had on a orange, like a burnt orange, mustard yellow and rust red plaid wool jacket, like that came to her knees, and rust red, like patent leather boots up to her knees, and this gorgeous mustard purse. I mean, she was, wow. I just looked at her and I'm thinking, that's like flashback 60s. And she is rocking this outfit. She is rocking it. And I stopped. I literally went, oh my goodness, ma'am, you are rocking that. Look at you. And I went like this. I went, oh my goodness, you just made my day. You're rocking that outfit. And her face just lit up. And her husband said, she used to wear that in the 60s and she still fits in it. And I think she still looks fine. Woo! And I'm like, woo, yeah. She does.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And she was just so tickled. And I mean, and they were both so well, you know, when you see a couple like that, they're just so well put together. You know, they've been together for decades and they probably finish each other's sentences. And she was just rocking that outfit. And I'm like, there's no way I can't say something. You know, so that's probably something they'll talk about months from now. Say, you know, this lady, when we were going into Giant Eagle, looked at my wife and said, you are rocking that. You know,
I love that.
You know, I mean, I have found that when I have kind of cruddy days like that, I live with PTSD, and sometimes my days are kind of darker, you know, or gray. They just feel gray, you know, blah. I found that if I make myself get out there, whether it's like, Kim, there's got to be some errand you can do, get out of the house, you know, go be around people. And inevitably, I will run into someone I know that makes me smile, or I will see someone like that woman that just makes me smile. And I have to say, you look beautiful today. And I'm sure it does something for their day, but it also does something for mine. So I encourage everybody to do that. Just be kind. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just be kind. It makes the world a better place.
That's such a beautiful story, Kim. And it's also, if you think about social media, it takes the same amount of time probably to write something nice than it does to write something mean. And I know just being on TV, you know, we've got a comment here right now, really not very nice. I mean, and why does it, I'm not even going to waste my time bringing it up, but why spend the time putting a negative comment out there? I don't really understand, especially when it's nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But people, you know, you have a choice. You can be kind, you can be nice, or you can be mean. And so the people who are mean, you know, we see your handle. I see what your name is. I don't know who you are specifically, but you're not somebody I want to interact with. But being kind and being nice, it is free. And it can be contagious. You can pay it forward.
There's really, you know, I look at it, there's literally no reason to not be kind. And if you have something negative and that's your life, then take it elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, maybe try and change something in your own life, because we're not meant to be on this planet and be bitter and mean and hateful. That's not our purpose. Very and true. I feel bad for those who feel that it is.
Yeah.
100%.
Because what people don't realize is it actually brings them down.
Yeah, all that's nothing good for them.
No.
There's no benefit to it.
No, there's definitely not. But it's the old expression. What would my mother say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, whatever the case is. So I have some information I think is going to be really interesting, especially since it's unscripted, which is I'm going to be dropping off the show, and Kim, you and Roland are going to continue on if you're open with it. And then you two can figure out when you're going to stop doing the show. So if you want to stop in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Roland's a producer, so he can close out the show.
Oh, I was going to say, how do we close it out?
Yeah, Roland has the keys to the kingdom. So I've got to run to another meeting. Are you two okay with that?
Sure, Roland. If you want to continue for a few minutes, I'm fine.
All
Okay,
right.
cool.
Well,
Cool.
I'm going to say goodbye and thank you so much. And Unscripted out.
Bye, Dr. Jacalyn.
Well, that was fun.
I love these conversations, I love this conversation.
Yeah.
And
Where are you from, Roland? I've never met you. Where are you from?
I'm born in Austria, in the middle of Europe. But
Okay.
I traveled the whole world for business and private. And the last years I've been living on the island of Mallorca in Spain for 14 years. That was my home base space. And for the last 4 years, I live full time in my motorhome, and I travel around Europe.
How awesome. I've been to Europe. Well, my ex-husband was from Germany, so I was over there numerous times and visited other countries. I found it fascinating being in the different, like you could get in your car and drive 2 hours and be in a completely different country with a different culture.
Different culture, different language, different food. Everything's different.
Right. Yeah. It was amazing because a lot of why I can't say a lot. I'm from small town America, live in the country, surrounded by fields and woods and farms, so I'm not a big city person, never have been. So, and a lot of people I know from my area and similar areas don't often travel out of the country. And so then that's like one thing I'm very thankful to my ex-husband for is I had that opportunity to go to Europe quite a few times and to see so many different cultures and experience the different cultures and just experience that different foods, how people think. And one thing I found is, and this is a question I can finally ask somebody. At the time, my husband and I were walking down the street in Dusseldorf, Germany, because that's where he was from. So we're walking down a city street and I kept saying, his name is Michael. And I said, Michael, why are people staring at me? Why are people looking at me? He goes, yeah, they are. And I said, why? He goes, because you scream American. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, you walk very proudly. And I went, I just walk like I walk. He goes, but it's very American. And I went, I never would have thought of that. So, and that stayed with me for years because people they were like, double taking. And I'm going, well, I'm nothing special. So why are people double taking everywhere we go? And he said, it's because the way you dress, the way you hold yourself, and the way you walk. Is that something that Europeans notice? I mean, like, can you say, oh, American?
Yeah, 100%. But I love it, because I have a little bit issues with the Germans. But I'm Austrian, But the point is that in our culture, it's all about staying focused, staying dressed. What do other people think about you? It's more important what your neighbor think about you than your own kids. And that's really weird here. For example, my new partner, her kids are 12 and 15, and they're out of the system. So they left Germany. And when you're not a residency anymore, then you don't have to go to school. You can do homeschooling. Otherwise, it's forbidden. And her mom said, how can you do this? Because the daughter will spend a few weeks there in holiday. And the grandma said, yeah, when my friends come over, don't tell them that you're not going to school. So it's more important what your neighbor think than your beloved one. And that's very, very German and also very, very Austrian. And that's why I left the country. That's why I left the country. So we are very concerned about what your neighbor and even strange people who don't know you think about you.
And I'm glad you brought that up because now that makes a lot of sense from a lot of comments that my ex-husband used to make. Because I was always saying, what do you care what other people think about you? Who cares?
Yeah. It's very in our culture, very in our, from the early beginning when I was a kid. We had this commercial on TV many, many years ago. When you go to a supermarket and, a small kid, always in the height where the kid can see, they're always the sweets close to the cashier. And then the kids always want something. And then the bears give it to them because when his kids start screaming, I want it. People are so ashamed and what strange people are thinking in the queue, except educating the kids, And then what the kid is learning is, okay, if I don't get it, I just start screaming and I get it. And then when an adult, they have the same attitude, the same behaving. And there was a commercial out of this, and I really loved it because the kids started screaming and laying down on the floor and screaming. And what the mom did, and I really loved it, she also lay down on the floor and screamed like crazy. The kids said, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" It's going up. Yeah,
my daughter did that once, and of course, people do look at you, and they look at you like you're a poor parent. Like, why are you letting your kid throw themselves on the floor and scream? And I was just leaning on my cart, letting her scream.
Yeah.
And after about a minute, because she was just being ridiculous, she was like 2.5, 3 years old, having a tantrum. And after a minute, I just stood up because I was leaning on the cart. And then I just stood up and I just started clapping. And I'm going, that is a great tantrum. Good job, sweetie. Fantastic. And she was so confused because I'm standing there going, I guess, good job. She actually stopped, snot running down her face, and comes up and, hugs my legs and then says, I love you, mommy, and I picked her up and put her in the cart, and all was fine, but she stopped. And I now do that with my granddaughter, who is 2.5 and getting to that age where she'll throw a fit, and I just clap and say, very well done. Good job. And she stops. Yeah, and I'm like, well, hey, I think I just figured out a new way to stop a tantrum.
Yeah, because you break her pattern. She was expecting something different.
Yeah, because what's the point in yelling? I'm not going to yell. That's just going to make the situation worse.
Yeah.
At least to my opinion, yelling has never solved anything for the positive, at least in my experience. So I found I'm just going to clap you through it.
Yeah. I was coaching a lot of top managers all over the globe, and many times I heard them yelling on their third line managers, and I always asked them, how did you behave as a kid? And they looked at me, what do you mean? Have you been yelling when you didn't get the ice cream, or what happened?
Right.
Where does your battle coming from?
I haven't thought of clapping at an adult doing that. That would be interesting to see the reaction. Hey, nice tantrum. Good job.
Yeah. A very good friend of mine, she was a very funny lady. She was working in the theater, and I drove with her, and she always had old cars, and most of the time they break down. And we have been in the city of Vienna, and their car, we stopped at a cross, and it was red, so we had to stop. And then when we wanted to continue, didn't work. She tried to start again, didn't work. And behind it, there was like a man in a huge car, in a Mercedes-Benz, the huge car, and he was and she got out of the car and screamed at the guy, you know what? Can you help me to get my car drive? In the meantime, I can put your horn on if you want.
Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Be helpful. You can be helpful.
100%.
So you've been going through Europe for the last 4 years in an RV?
Yes, I left Mallorca a little bit more than 4 years ago, and I was traveling many countries. So actually in winter time, I'm more south, like I'm now in Sicily, in the South Italy since November, so almost 6 months now. I'm heading back next week. And in the summer times, I stay more northern.
How interesting. What kind of RV do you have? Or do you like where do you stay? Do you have to map out different places where you stay? Is it campgrounds or people that you can park in their driveway? I mean, how do you plan that out?
In the summertime, I stay mostly in the wild, in nature, most of the time where it's not where I'm allowed to do so.
Yeah.
And the wintertime here in Sicily, you can stay in the wild here because in the wintertime it's out of season. It's okay. But I'm here the third year, and I'm here on a camping ground. It's a little bit of a wild one, open one. Just behind me, there are two beaches. There's one beach on the left side and the other beach on the on the right side. So a perfect spot here, and it's very cheap. I have electricity. I have my own private bathroom with my shower and my toilet. So everyone has their own private bathroom.
Oh wow, perfect.
And it's about $420 a month. So why should I stay in the wild? It's beautiful here. So the bakery man camps every morning. Fish dealer camps a butcher camps every day. Some brings fruits and vegetables, and I can stay here and broadcast or writing my books and stuff like that. So, what
kind of books do you write?
Oh, good question. The first book that came out was it's called The Innovation Edge. That's a content I've been training many companies all over the globe. It's about how to grow your accounts by bringing new innovation for your clients, or otherwise, let's say, helping your customer being more innovative for their customers. That's what the book is about. I trained these thousands of people in the globe. That's the business. and now it's the German edition is coming out. And in Austria, with a publishing house, there came a book on, when I translated into English, it says, "Daddy, where are you?" And this are my own story, and from 20 people from 7 different countries, men and women, writing down their story about a non-present dad in different aspects. A dad that they never met in life, a dad that left maybe the family in early years, or like myself, my dad was there, but emotionally not available for us, for my brother and myself. So
I could have wrote a chapter in that anthology.
Oh, you're welcome, because we're writing already the next book on Dr. myself. And I found out from my own story, because I was always, that's why I said in the beginning, I was a people pleaser and this last guy.
Yeah.
I always thought I have to do more, become better. And one day my father will see it and acknowledge it, but what never happened. Mm. And I met so many people in business and private who have the same story. They're always trying to, get seen by their dad and acknowledged by their dad, or even by their mom. Maybe I'm writing a book about mom too. And so I started writing, and then I shared my story, and other people came in, and friends of mine said, "Hey, can I share my story too?" And I said, "Hey, you're more than welcome. When you're brave enough to share your story, yeah, cool." So it's 22 stories from 7 different countries, from men and women.
I've coordinated 6 different anthologies.
Wow.
And it's great fun to do that. It's great fun. The first 3 were from different women from all over the world, many different countries, sharing their stories of like personal trauma and triumph, stories of grace, like when grace found them, how they found themselves. And then the other 3, the last 2 I've just done, are all about pets and how pets have enriched our lives and helped many through many things, because animals are amazing, so yeah, how fun doing those kind of books, I think, are great, because they're good short reads. You don't have to read, you can just read a story, you can carry it with you, and you have all these you get a different perspective, because each author, it's such a different way of writing, and it's a completely different story, but it's probably something you'll be able to resonate with.
100%. And I learned, I don't know what your experience is, Kim, but I learned for myself when I met people who have, especially as a man, you always think you have to be strong, you never share about your stories and your emotions. For me, my kind of healing, I don't like the word healing, because it means that you're broken. Nobody's broken. Everybody's perfect. But you know what I mean? For me, the healing started when I found out, I'm not the only one that had, because I was sexually abused for many, many years as a kid and many bad stuff. But for me, the healing started when I found, okay, it's not me.
Yeah.
It happened to other people too. And this helped me. And that's why the book is, I brought this book on the market just to get, but giving hope. But in the beginning, before there's hope, saying, okay, you're not alone. There are many, many other men and women in different countries out there who experience the same with a non-present dad, and they're suffering. And I don't know, you remember Ted Turner, the founder of CNN?
Yes, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s, there was no Zuckerberg, there was no Bezos, there was no Bill Gates on the market. He was the richest man in the US at the time. And I guess the largest landowner or landlord in the US. He married Jane Fonda at the time, this Hollywood star. He was on the peak, and I was in the 80s on the peak. And I will never forget this. He became Man of the Year from Time Magazine. So when Time Magazine were Man of the Year, there is a kind of ceremony with 400, today we would say, celebrate this, important people. So before you and myself can buy this magazine on the corner. So they do this reunion, and they called they turned on the stage, and they gave him a magazine, and he pulled his hands up in the magazine, fall on his knees. And he was 50 something, the richest man in the US at the time, fall on his knees and start crying and said, "Dad, is it finally love?" And then they stopped the ceremony and did it again 10 weeks later. And then he told the story that he was a billionaire, and he still was fighting to be seen by this. I have goosebumps.
Wow.
And I know there's so many people out in different levels.
Absolutely. I know several. I know several people like that.
Yeah.
My dad was non-existent. and an alcoholic. And I think, at the age of 58, I've probably still not come to terms with everything that I feel about him.
Mm.
It's just, he was non-existent. So it was like, I didn't have a dad. Every promise broke, never talked to him unless he was drunk, so it was, you put a wall up for me anyway, myself and my sister, we put a wall up and we're like, done,
Yeah, and it has an impact of our lives. It has an impact how we see men, or how you see a partner, and it has an impact.
Oh, I agree. A big impact, more than you realize. I mean, once you start working on things with yourself, you realize, oh, that probably plays a part in how I am today. And that's it. It takes a lot to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Not
for me,
easy.
the worst thing was when my mom said, "You're like your dad." I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to be like my dad."
Oh,
This was the worst thing. And I said, "Oh my, maybe she's true. Maybe she's true. There's a mirror. Maybe I have to think about myself, how I'm acting and behaving and talking." But I was right. I started writing this book when my dad passed away in 2020. So we had never had a good conversation, never ever. He never hugged me, and I can't remember. I know that he was proud of me. And the funny thing is, I'm taking care about his sister, her auntie. So when I go back to Austria, I spend a week with her, and I clean the house and prepare the firewood for winter stuff. So I'm taking care about his sister. And she didn't read the book, but at the time, but she knew about the book, and she said, "Yeah, don't write too badly about him, because he loved you." And I said, "Well, why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he fucking tell me?" But when I was writing my story, and I know my book agent in Austria said, "The story is heavy," and I said, "It is like it is, but to be honest, I forgive my dad, because I 100% understand he had no dad, because my grandfather went in World War II in Russia, and he never came back from Russia, so he died so he didn't have a dad, so he never learned how to become a husband. He never learned how to become a dad. So why should he know?" And so I said, okay, I 100% forgive him. I don't understand it, but
that's
like
yeah. I don't think
it
we have to understand it. I get what you're saying, because for me, I was like, I don't know if I've reached forgiveness, but I've acknowledged that I will never understand who he was or why he became what he did. But I do know that in his way, he did love us as his daughters. I do know that, but he just, that's all I know. It was never shown. But I knew it. I don't know. It was just weird. It's just, gosh, what parents do to their kids without even realizing it. It's amazing.
Yeah. But some people are so caught in their circumstances and what's going on in their mind.
Yeah.
They cannot express it. I think my father would love to express it, but he doesn't know how to do it, because he never learned how to show emotions. I never ever.
I think the same for my dad too, maybe. I think that because he would often, the last couple years he was alive, he would call. He was always drunk. But he would call and say, "I really need to talk to you and your sister in person." And I'd say, "Let us know when." I'm not scheduling it. This is on you. Let us know when. And he scheduled a couple days and times, and my sister came to my house, and we waited and waited and waited, and he never showed. And he did it again, and he never showed. And then he tried a third time, and we both said, "No."
Not again. That's
and
enough.
then that was that. Then he passed away. So we often wonder, what is it that he wanted to talk to us about, or did he want to apologize, or what? And then I'm like, I can't let my brain go that way, because I'll never have an answer.
We don't know it. No.
Right. Yeah.
But what I learned, and this is also my message to our audience, is if I don't accept my dad, I don't accept half part of myself, because half part is my dad, half part is my mother, my mom. If I don't accept one of them or both of them, I don't accept myself.
That's a heavy way of looking at it. Yeah. Yeah. Good one.
Thank you. But it was a learning process, I can tell you.
Oh, I believe it.
A hard one, when I realized that, I said, oh my gosh, somebody told me, I said, if you don't accept your dad, you don't, I said, sorry, I said, he was an asshole. And they said, yeah, but no matter, no, don't charge it. You never know what's behind that. But if you don't accept it, you don't accept half of your being. I said, what do you mean? Your dad is half of you, your mom is half of you. And that was a really different thing about, okay, I have to make peace. I have to make peace with it. And then it was really helpful for me.
Yeah, well, it's helpful for everybody. And like you said, it's a work in progress. It's not something that you can just decide and that it's done.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff, Roland.
That's the book.
Oh, awesome. Where's that available at?
It's available on Amazon, but at the time only in German. But I'm thinking about doing an English translation because somebody joined from the US. There are people, a friend of mine from the US wrote a story, from Mexico, from Poland, from Germany, from Belgium, from the Netherlands, from Austria. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, here's my little nuggets of hope book.
I love that.
Yeah. That's on Amazon.
Okay, cool. I will have a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Well, this has been so fun. Yeah, I love meeting new people.
Yeah, me too. Okay, look, I guess we have to come to an end because there's another show running.
Okay.
But it was amazing to meet you, Kim.
Yes, it was. It was a true pleasure. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. This was very touching because what came to my mind when you told this story about giving hope, I said, it's so easy to make a difference in somebody's lives. It's not a huge effort. It's not a huge stuff. It's just hugging somebody or giving hope or giving an honest compliment. It's so easy and for free to really make a difference in somebody else's life, because we never know what this person is going through at the moment we meet this person.
That's right. We may not be able to change the world. I say this all the time. No. I can't change the world, but I can change my small slice of it for the better.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't I want to try to do that?
Yeah. That's old. I'm not in politics, and I'm not interested in politics. And I said, okay, why should I finger point in another country? Right. It starts in my family, in my hood, and then from there we can really, like throwing a little stone in the lake, and then the waves going.
Yep. See, with my little nuggets of hope, I'm just a pebble tosser. That's what I say. I'm just a pebble tosser making ripples.
100%. I loved it. Kim, it was amazing to talk to you. All the best. I hope I see you again in one of our shows.
Awesome. Yes, me too. Thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This was another episode, actually episode number 3 about Unscripted with Dr. Jacalyn, the founder and CEO of USA Global TV and Radio, and myself. So next Sunday, there will be another show without me, because I will travel, and I know that I will be in an area without any network, unfortunately, but we see each other soon. If you want to see me in my next shows, I'm doing on Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. Central European Time. I do, together with Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, another episode of It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. And if you speak German, at 7 p.m. Central European Time, I do the Macher Talk, and at 8 p.m. Central European Time, I do the Mutmacher Talk. You're more than welcome to join us. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't done so far, because all our shows are live, we broadcast live, but also we record our shows. So meaning, if you missed one of the shows, or you want to maybe recommend us, sorry for that. This is what I want to show this one here. So join us here on YouTube, on USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. There are all the recordings there from all the shows we have done. We have produced over 10,000 shows the last 5 years, broadcasting in over 65 countries. So if you missed the show, go to YouTube, subscribe if you haven't done so far. Press the bell. There are many other amazing topics. That's what we want to do, bringing hope, inspiration to our viewers. Thanks for joining us again. I just bring this away. I'm trying to produce it again. And yeah, by the way, This is the Mutmacher Talk I'm doing on Tuesday, and that's the Macher Talk in German. So if you speak German and have German friends, you're more than welcome to join us on our German shows too. Okay. So let's start. I wish you an amazing Sunday, a nice evening when you join from Europe or close to Europe, a nice afternoon from the US, or a late night from the Asian part. All the best. Thanks for joining us, and we see each other next Sunday. All the best, and bye-bye.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.